The Nun 2 is finally out in cinemas everywhere. I seen it last night and here's my thoughts. Straight away, I think this is a vast improvement from the first movie. I only watched this the other day and I gave it a 4 out of 10, but I think this improved in almost every single sector for me, and I had an amazing time with this movie, I can't even lie. If you've seen the first movie, you'll know that Sister Irene and Frenchie were two of the main characters. They both return in this one, and I have to say, they both get some really great narrative arcs in this, and I kind of liked how they took both of their characters in different directions. One of the standouts was Frenchie. He gets a lot of character development in ways that, if you've seen the first movie, you know that it ends with him still being possessed by Valak. He gets possessed at the end in the final fight and he doesn't realize it, but Valak escapes through his body and is basically living inside of him, possessing him. And we see that in this movie, and we see kind of the repercussions of that. And he did an amazing job because the movie is set in a boarding school. So he's kind of interacting with all the students and stuff, and he's just showing his fun side, and he's having a great time, and he's being really nice to them, being really friendly. Then he switches up, and I just liked how they did that and how they executed that with him. And it really showed a lot of depth to his character. Sister Irene gets a lot of character development as well. We learn a lot of things about her, and I can't say anything about them because I'd be going into spoiler territory, and I like to keep these very spoiler free. But I like the route that they went with her development, and one of the things that I love about the Conjuring universe and about the Nun in particular is that they don't mind leading into mythology, artifacts, ancient relics and stuff like this. And if you've seen the first one, you'll know that Sister Irene defeated Valak, the demon, by drinking the blood of Christ and basically spitting it in Valak's face and burning the demon away. And in this one, I will say there is another relic in play, and I just kind of liked what it was, and I liked how it was told and how it was factored into the story. One thing you probably all want to know, and I should have said it straight away, Valak, the demon, the nun, appears so much more in this. That was my biggest gripe with the first one. If Valak had appeared more, I would have been like, this movie is actually really decent, but I was let down by how little she appeared. And in this one, they fixed those mistakes, and they've definitely listened to all the fans, because Valak appears a hell, no pun intended, a hell of a lot more, and it's great. I have to say, some of the scares that they do in here is really, really cool. Of course, this movie does rely on jump scares, and to be honest, if it was any other movie, I'd be like, really, a jump scare fest? But these are executed really well. There's a really cool scare that is actually in the trailer, and they probably shouldn't have put it in the trailer because it's really cool. But basically, the character of Sophie, played by Caitlin Rose Downey, amazing performance, by the way, really, really good. She goes upstairs, like, in the boarding school, and she hears noises and she goes upstairs. When she comes back down, there is a jump scare at some stage, and I just have to say that the way it's executed is really cool. Valak is involved and then disappears, but the remnants of where Valak was standing is left really cool, and that's all I'll say. And one thing that I always talk about is how in The Conjuring 2, when I seen the nun standing down the hallway, it gave me shivers down my spine, and it's still one of the most iconic horror scenes that I've seen. It sticks with me a lot. There is something similar in this movie, and when I seen it, I was like, oh Lord have mercy, here we go again. But it just got me again. So really, really well done in terms of the scares, and I have to say I thought they did a good job with it, and a big improvement from the first one. The gore is kind of dialed up here as well. It's not Evil Dead Rise level of gore, but it is a lot more gory than the first one, and probably all of the other Conjuring movies, so be prepared for that. So there is a mid-credit scene here, and it does kind of tease what's going to happen in the rest of the Conjuring universe. I'm not going to say what it is, but I do think it could have been a little bit better. It was a little bit flat and bland, and it did feel like it just cut off straight away. And when I did some research, I found out that it was some cut footage from a different movie that just never made it into the final cut, and they just decided to use it here. So maybe that's why it felt a bit out of place. But yeah, it does tease that there is something else coming in the universe of The Conjuring, and I'm all for that because I really like this. So overall, I have to give The Nun 2 3.5 stars, 7 out of 10. I had a great time here. It's not my favorite horror of the year, but it definitely is up there. As I said, massive improvement from the first one. I always love seeing the nun on screen, and this was just a fun time, full of scares, full of great character development, some great cast across the board, and overall just a good time.